Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I am your host, Krista Porter, here at the Nebraska Library Commission. NCompass Live is the Commission's weekly webinar series where we cover a variety of topics that may be of interest to libraries. We broadcast the show live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, but if you're unable to join us on Wednesdays, that's fine. We do record the show, as we're doing today, and it will be available for you to watch later at your convenience. And I will show you at the end of today's show where you can access all of our show recordings. For those of you not from Nebraska, because I know we have some people that have registered that are not, that's awesome. Welcome. The Nebraska Library Commission is the state agency for libraries in Nebraska. So we are similar to your whatever state library. So we provide all the training and services and consulting and grants and resources and databases and all sorts of things to all sorts of libraries in the state. A question I get sometimes about our NCompass Live shows here is about continuing education credits and earning those hours. After this show is over, a thank you for attending email will automatically be sent to everyone who attended the live show. And there is a PDF certificate attached to that, and that will serve as your proof of attending the show if you need to give that to anyone. If you are a Nebraska attendee from either working anywhere in Nebraska and you attended this live show and you're in our public librarian or library board certification programs, you do not need to apply for your CE hours for watching NCompass Live. I will submit that automatically on your behalf to our CE people. If you watch one of our archived shows, each one of those sessions has a special form for that particular show. So you would use that. If you are not from Nebraska and watching this, you will need to reach out to whoever grants your CE, your continuing education hours. We are not authorized to issue CE credits for other states or other programs, only for Nebraska. But as I said, you will have, but many states have given CE for attending our live shows or our recordings. All right, so it is the last Wednesday of the month, which means it is Pretty Sweet Tech Day. Yay! The last Wednesday of the month is when Amanda Sweet, our technology innovation librarian, comes on NCompass Live to talk about something tech related. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning.
We do have other techie related shows throughout the month sometimes, but generally can always depend. The last Wednesday of the month will be Amanda talking about some new fun things that she's discovered or wants to share. And today we are talking about a new offering that we have through the Library Commission for providing websites to libraries. This is a program we've offered websites for libraries for a long time, over 10 years, but the program is changing. Yeah. And this is one of our new options. So I will just hand it over to you, Amanda, to talk about what's coming, what's been happening, why it's happening, all that good stuff.
So for a little bit of background, and I feel like I've been talking about this ad nauseum for like ever.
No, we do. We say that we've been talking about this for a long time, but there's still some libraries who haven't heard, or I mean, that's understandable, or just are confused about what we're doing. It's always good to keep reinforcing.
It's true.
Yeah.
So for those who haven't heard yet or want a refresher, if you know about the Nebraska Libraries on the web service, the commission has been running that for probably 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that is no longer going to be operated in the same way anymore. So now we were trying to figure out some different ways to be able to transition people from the old WordPress multisite. And I will explain later in this presentation exactly what a multisite is and how it works. But first off, I just want to explain how the Library Commission used to host about 140 plus different websites on the WordPress hosting site. But now that we're no longer able to support that WordPress multi-site that was hosting those websites, we had to try to find different ways to migrate people over to different solutions or alternatives. So a good number of libraries went with the free site that Vern here at the commission was able to build out, and it was awesome. I love that he was able to do that.
Mhm.
That is a more or less static layout website that libraries can get started with, that pulls mostly from the database that the commission already keeps. So that stored like the library hours, the staff information, and all that cool stuff.
Mhm.
And
And a
then
lot of that data actually comes from the public library survey that you all submit to, services and some things that you put on there.
Yep. And because stuff changes over time and policies change, staff changes, all that different stuff changes, Vern also baked in some different portals, a little submission portal so that you can update documents and update images. And there are certain select areas on the site where you can refresh content and update different things. So some libraries are happy with the free site. They are like, cool, good to go. But other libraries wanted to actually have more flexibility in what they were able to do with the site. So the WordPress options, I shopped around for a whole bunch of different new WordPress hosts that might be able to work with us and landed on LibChalk. And LibChalk is he doesn't just do WordPress. LibChalk can work with pretty much any type of website. They've done Drupal, they've done pretty much anything. It's a website host. They're flexible, but I'm just talking about the WordPress side because I don't want people's heads to explode. So, so we wound up going with two different options here. You may have attended a previous NCompass where we talked about the $250 a year. You just get a regular WordPress site. You can start it. It's yours. You do whatever you want with it, and then it just gets hosted by LibChalk. And that was the lower cost rate that we figured out, and it runs with like the cybersecurity going in the background. They do the maintenance, updating, and everything is hosted on LibChalk servers. So what this new option is that the Nebraska Libraries on the web, the old version of it actually worked on a WordPress multi-site instead of a regular WordPress installation. And the way that WordPress it actually is easier at this point to explain what a multi-site actually is. So in the old multi-site, a multi-site is actually a network of websites that run together. And so if you think about a traditional website, you start it, and then in a WordPress specific website, the layout and the look and feel of the site is actually indicated by what's called a theme. And that theme will show what the header looks like, what that top menu looks like, what the menu down the side looks like, what the pages and colors and everything looks like. So different themes have different looks and feels. And so then there are, in addition to the themes on a WordPress website, you also have plugins. And plugins are little additional features, like if you want to add a calendar onto a website, or if you want to add in, if you want to embed a PDF, if you want to do all these different things, different features usually have a different plugin that needs to be added into the website for it to be able to function. And on the back end of this, all of the people choose to use a multi-site instead of just a regular website or a collection of different websites if the websites you're running are all somewhat similar. Because when you set up a multi-site, all of the themes that are installed on that multi-site are available across the entire network. So you might have a single multi-site installation that in the old case had about 140 different websites, had 140 different library websites on it. Each one of those library websites had access to about, at that time, there were about 25 to 30 different themes. And over time, those themes got updated, or if it's over a longer stretch of time, some of those themes are no longer updated by the developer who made them. Because each different WordPress theme is not actually usually made by WordPress itself. A little small handful of them are, like the default 2025 theme or the 2010 theme or any theme that usually has the year number in it. those are actually maintained by WordPress themselves. But most of them, like the Nirvana theme that I use a lot, or Astra, or Ocean WP, or all of these different really popular themes, are actually either made by just really enthusiastic people that made them, or they're made by actual companies. Like their Nirvana theme is made by Cryout Creations, and Cryout Creations actually makes a little collection of themes. And some of those themes have free levels, and some of them have premium levels. And those organizations that actually go hardcore into these, they actually are able to sustain both the free and the paid version by lumping and bundling it all together, like most companies do by having a free and paid tier.
Right.
And but over time, some of those companies might go out of business, and you may have operated and run an entire theme, an entire website on a theme that's no longer being updated. So that means you have to change your theme. But the cool thing about WordPress is that you can change your theme at a click of a button. So they have a live preview feature so that you can experiment with any different kind of theme. And you can preview it to make sure it actually looks the way that you want it to, and then you activate it and it'll take over the look and feel of the site. And 9 times out of 10, all of your content and all of your everything will transfer from what was in the old theme to what was in the new theme. But the difference is that now these new settings are different for each different theme, because no one can agree on how to run the back end of every single theme. And so some of the themes are really simple. Like some of them you can maybe change a few different colors. You might be able to choose like the font, but the layout is more or less the same. And some themes are actually designed to be simple because people just don't want to deal with it. They're like, I want to be able to set it up. I don't want to mess around with a bunch of different settings. I just want it to look good, and I want it to be set and ready. And more modern themes, they're designed to be responsive by default. But the problem is that when you are working with really old, like a combination of the old themes and new themes, and if you're running a multi-site, there are usually enough libraries that are running really, really old themes that some of those old themes are not responsive anymore. And these are the themes that are actually starting to break in the old version. So these themes can no longer be updated, and some of these themes, they don't always necessarily play nicely with every single plugin in existence.
Mm-hmm.
So when you actually start a multi-site, you're actually doing a little dance that says, I'm going to choose this collection of themes that's going to be available to every library that's under the umbrella of this multi-site. And then I'm also going to choose this collection of plugins. And I have to make sure that every single plugin that I choose is compatible with every single theme on this installation. Otherwise, you will start a small tech fire in the background. So this is kind of like the dance of the multi-site. So it's actually easier because if you're trying to update 130 plus websites, you don't want to log into 130 plus different systems or different WordPress installations to be able to do it. In a multi-site, you log into one system in a login style that's called a super administrator. So I would log into the WordPress backend as a super administrator, and I can update every theme and every plugin from that multi-site. So that is the benefit of having a multi-site, that you don't have to, if you're trying to maintain multiple websites at one time, it makes it easier. The trade-off is that you're running it as a network, so that entire network has to be able to work in tandem. And you have to have all these different themes that play nicely. The themes don't have to play nicely with each other, but all of the themes have to work with all of the plugins. So that is actually what takes the longest in setting up a multi-site, is choosing which one of those plugins to include and making sure that they play nicely with the themes. Otherwise, when you update stuff, things go horribly wrong, and both the theme and the plugin can break. And it will break across every single site on your multi-site.
Mm.
That said, when
And that
you
explains a lot all about why this has been such a struggle as
Yep.
years are gone for us to keep running the multi-site that we were.
And so the other fun part of that is that back when the commission first started this, the concept of a multi-site was also still new.
Mm.
So the features and how a multi-site was actually working was still being created by WordPress itself. And then when the commission started it, people didn't know this yet. People didn't know the battle of the theme versus the plugin, and most of the plugins that exist now didn't exist then. So the form plugins that were used 10 years ago are drastically different than the form plugins now. And the form plugins that libraries were using between 5 and 10 years ago in this old installation don't exist anymore. Or they weren't updated, or the developer just got bored and quit doing it. So, and more of the plugins and themes that were built 10 years ago were just made by enthusiasts. And those enthusiasts, they're usually learning how the system works, and they don't always do it correctly, which is part of the learning curve.
Mm.
So when you're choosing themes, you also have to play that dance between, is this a good looking theme that was probably made by a student who's going to stop doing it after they get their degree?
Mm.
Or is this a theme that was made by a company that's going to support it long term?
Mm-hmm.
So I choose all themes that are made by, usually under the umbrella of a larger company like Cryout Creations or Ocean WP, or I use like the top most popular responsive layout and designs that have some functionality that libraries can customize. So I choose a little blend of themes that have really high customization, like Nirvana. And Nirvana has like an additional plugin that adds additional features that you can change even more stuff in the theme. But I know that that's going to be maintained because it's by a company.
Right.
And I know that Cryout also makes other themes, so that if Nirvana ever actually does go down, I can flip over to another one and it has a higher likelihood of being compatible with the old stuff because it was made in the same way.
Same company. Yeah.
Yep. And so I choose those, and then I pair it with a plugin called Elementor. And Elementor you may have seen on previous shows too, but it is a page builder. It's a page builder plugin that basically says, even though your theme says that a page is going to look this way, we're going to let you make it look any way that you want to. And some libraries want to mess with Elementor, and some don't even want to touch it because it's another thing to learn. So I make it available as a thing that you can do. And the thing with Elementor is that if you start using Elementor, you have to update all of your other themes and plugins first before updating Elementor, because sometimes Elementor it does not always, the order of update matters. And that's just because of the way that Elementor itself does the updating, because it's a page builder that sometimes takes over some of the default settings that are on WordPress or on a theme. And sometimes the layout of Elementor takes precedence over any other thing. So Elementor gives instructions to update everything else before updating Elementor. So when you are working with a hosting company, you also have to let them know if there's an order of operations of things, when things should be updated and how. So when this was switched over, that's the other thing, is that for any other library or system that's thinking about getting a multi-site, I'll also share some of the things that went horrifically wrong that we learned from. So,
Failure is important. You learn from failure. Yes.
so one of the things that went horrifically wrong is that because the concept of a multi-site was still coming into existence, and most of these features still did not exist yet, that order of operations of updating was not known yet. And some things you don't know until you try it. So what we wound up trying is that a little handful of the libraries under the Multisite wanted to use the pro version of Elementor, and some of them still wanted the regular, and some wanted to not use Elementor at all. So we wound up installing the pro version of Elementor, and when you install the pro version of Elementor on a Multisite, you can generate separate license keys that have to be activated on a per site basis underneath the umbrella of the Multisite. But then you also have to install a separate plugin called Elementor Pro. So there's a plugin for Elementor, the free version, and a plugin for Elementor, the pro version. And if you have libraries that choose to no longer maintain that pro version of Elementor, you have to have an active license of Elementor in order to be able to update the Elementor Pro version. So for a while, we were not able to update the Elementor Pro version because there were no longer any active licenses of Elementor. And that broke the entire site. Because we weren't able to update that pro version, and WordPress likes to have updated plugins for security patches and everything. And we tried working with Elementor to try to get it off of there. You can't even uninstall the Elementor Pro plugin unless it's updated. And so that is one of the things that broke it more, but it was already breaking in other ways. And so one of the things that I started looking at when figuring out the best way to build out a new multi-site under a different host was how to not accidentally replicate some of the problems that we had from before. And so what this started to look like is step one, before when this old multi-site was installed, we didn't know that there would be an issue with themes versus fighting plugins. So there were too many themes that were added over time, and old themes were not always, there's no little alert that goes out that says this theme is no longer being updated. Like there's no email that goes out, there's no nothing. So it's a lot on a super administrator to be able to go through multiple different themes when you have 25 plus of them to magically know when the developer got lazy or graduated or whatever and stop maintaining it. So instead, on the new multi-site, it's just going to be a pack of 5 to 10 different hand-selected themes, and we're not going to let people actually ask if they can add a specific theme, because when you start letting people add a specific theme into a multi-site, that's when things go wrong.
That's when things started. I mean, at the beginning when we started this, it was like, oh yeah, of course we'll let you choose, but yeah, it became way too much.
Yeah. Yep.
I did look up. I was always curious about this because I always forget. And then whenever we talk about our Nebraska Libraries on the Web program project, when we first introduced it on an NCompass live show, actually, was in May 2011. So 15 years actually we've been doing it.
Yeah, so that was the Wild West of multi-site.
Yeah. Yes.
And so now it'll be 5 to 10 themes with that mix of like super simple themes versus themes where you can do a lot with it. But that'll be paired with a page builder. So even though the theme looks that certain way, you can make your pages and customize things in any way that you want. And one of the themes will actually be the default 2020. I think it's up to 2025 now, the one that's made by WordPress. And they actually started using a template feature that gives you more customization ability within their default theme, which also means more buttons and settings that you have to learn, but you don't have to choose that one if you don't want to do all that. And so paired with that collection of themes will also be a core set of essentials plugins that I'm still testing out. But so far I've got WP Forms, which is, it plays nicely with all the themes to add in a contact form or a sign up form or a booking form or anything that you are looking for. I used to use Events Manager, and I still like Events Manager, but I'm experimenting with a different calendar plugin. So libraries can add a calendar that shows up as a list or a calendar that shows up as an actual calendar. And there's different features where you can embed it into different parts of the website. So I'm going back and forth between those two different calendar plugins to make sure that they play nicely with all the themes. And then the third one is going to be a PDF embedder, which is just called PDF embedder. There are other embedder tools and other tools that'll let you make flipbooks online, but not all of those tools play nicely with everything, and PDF embedder generally does. And it's been maintained pretty regularly, so I'm probably just going to stick with it. And then there'll be a site analytics. Google Analytics is good, or some people are used to using Jetpack, so I'll just keep the Jetpack and the Jetpack Social and the Jetpack suite. And over time, Jetpack, that default where you track the stats, and you used to be able to embed the Facebook feed into your website. Jetpack started off as a single plugin that had everything under one umbrella, and now it broke into a few different plugins. So now there's Jetpack Social and Jetpack WP and Jetpack. So I'll add like the collection of Jetpack. So, and some of them are also being put behind a paywall, and some of it is still free. So that'll just be on a per site basis, and I'm defaulting to the free version of everything. And so those plugins are still evolving, but I'm anticipating that there will be approximately 5 to 10 different plugins, and I would go up to as high as 12 if need be. And that's only because some of the themes also come with different plugins to be able to extend the customization ability. Like Nirvana's Crowd Creations has a Crowd Creations plugin. So stuff like that I'll still add. And so once all of this is set up in the back end, this is the theme and plugin selection is made by the super administrator of a multi-site. And then the host, like Brian, just made the multi-site last night. And so now I can log into the LibChalk multi-site as a super administrator and set up all this.
Yeah, and we should clarify. Brian is Brian Pitchman. He is the owner, founder. I don't know. What is he in LibChalk? Is it his?
LibChalk was made by a group that came out of IBM. So they're the ones who started LibChalk officially. He did a lot with it. I'd actually have to ask him exactly what his origin story in there, but he was there from basically like the start of it. And I don't know, he knows a ton about it, but it was a whole group of people that started it.
Okay, yeah, but he is our person doing our connection to LibChalk. Yeah,
he knows all the things.
Yeah, and if any of you are regulars to attend watching NCompass Live over the years, Brian has been on the show multiple times talking about all sorts of different, also techie related things.
It's true. We do get techie with it. And all right, so once a super administrator gets this set up, and the multi-site is actually started by the actual host. If you wind up trying this through a different hosts have different levels of support. So some of them will basically just say, I'll give you access to the system, but you have to figure out how to shard it. But LibChalk will actually help you with setting the whole thing up so that you can then just get into it and maintain it. So that'll be a grab bag depending on how the actual website host sets it up and the level of involvement that they actually have. But in this case, he just set it up and then I log in and bring it home. And then on the back end of that, that also has a cybersecurity monitor. So it'll go through and track web traffic, and it's mostly run out of a combination of AI and actually humans looking at it. So when their system is triggered that something is going wrong, an actual human will go through and review through it and find out what's going on. And there's a lot of AI running in the background to make sure that this is running and monitored across the board. And so once this is all set up by me, then the next level of it will be actually having different libraries get set up in there. So if you are a Nebraska Libraries on the web library, I will export your files from the old multi-site, and then Brian and I'll pop that into an installation into the new multi-site, and then all of the everything will be remapped to the new site and then your old URL will be forwarded to this new installation of the new multi-site. And some of you will be able to keep your old theme if you were using one of the, like Nirvana or one of the other recommended themes, but some of you might have to switch to a different theme. And I can usually get you to a closer look and feel to what you used to have, or you might use this as an opportunity to do a revamp that you may have wanted to do for a while. So it'll be a 50-50 shot whether you will be able to keep your old theme perfectly or if you might need to make some changes. And then after you're switched over, and as a side note, you do not have to be a previous participant of the Nebraska Libraries on the web service to be involved in the new multi-site.
Good to mention that, because someone did ask about, what if we were not already doing this? Yep, this is this. We are reaching out to the ones who are currently in, trying to make sure they get transferred to changed to something else, either our free version or this, or if they go off and do their own thing, that's also okay as well. But yes, any Nebraska public libraries, correct?
Yeah, I'm sure Brian would I doubt he would care if a school library did it too, but so far we've been opening it to public.
Yeah, and that's what our original Nebraska Libraries on the Web program was for. The concept, the idea was public libraries, like you said, back in the Wild West and 15 years ago, needed websites, didn't know how to do it, couldn't figure out, didn't have the time, energy, money to figure out themselves. And we here figured out a way where we could offer them a free site to possibly have. But yes, new libraries have a website, either the free one or this multi-site one.
And the fun part for the actual library is that you don't have to deal with any of the other stuff. You don't have to deal with the choosing themes or plugins or maintaining the back end or doing any of that. You pretty much just have to log in and update your content and maintain the site. So if you are a current WordPress user, whether it's through a multi-site or regular, it's basically just like logging into your WordPress website and making, adding blog posts, maintaining pages, updating, like adding a flyer for your latest event, updating calendar information, and pretty much doing what you were doing before. And if you were on the old WordPress through the libraries on the web, that service got really, 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 really slow to load. And so now this one is like, by comparison, it's like lightning fast, but it actually just loads regular. So you will not have that same loading issue with the new multi-site, which is a question that I've gotten time and time again. And We also, in the old installation, used a duplicator plugin to be able to speed up the process of setting up different websites. But on the back end of that, that duplicator plugin also messed with the file path and the loading path of different images and source files. So we do not use that duplicator plugin on the new multi-site, and all of the file paths are fixed by Brian because I think he's made of magic. And so when your old site gets loaded into the new multi-site, all of those file path issues and duplicator issues are gone. So that'd be cool. So on the library side, you just have to log in and fix stuff. And so that's why I also worked with Diana Silvera, and she made a free WordPress course that's offered through the Library Commission's Niche Academy. And you can log into that, and you can either learn how to set up and maintain your own WordPress website, or you can take it as a refresher to learn the different things and then kind of some of the new features that you may have glossed over or didn't have time to pay attention to before. So if you want to get started on WordPress, that course is a good place to start. And do you happen to have the link to that course handy by any chance? I know I put it on the old Libraries on the Web homepage.
Yeah, I will get it. Yes.
And so this is kind of where we're at with what you can expect with the new multi-site. So this will be the 5 to 10 themes, and I've already landed on Nirvana, probably Ocean WP. Diana used the example of Astra, the free version, so I'll be including Astra. And then the other ones are still in testing phase to make sure that they are compatible. And the other core set of plugins I'll be listing out as they get tested and added in. But I mean, the core default of like the calendar forms, embedder, and everything are in there. And it's at this point that if you have any requests or recommendations while this is being landed down, I will take recommendations, but I will not make promises, because even a recommendation does not mean that it passed testing and everything plays nicely. So now there's some flexibility in what gets added, but later on, I wish that we could say yes to everything, but that's what broke it the last time. But the good, hey, my bit defender is updating. Cool. So, but the rest of it, you don't really have to worry about because LibChalk does that. And so down here, the multi-site is $150 per year. For reference, the full installation of WordPress, if you just got your own regular WordPress that you don't have to deal with a multi-site and you can have more control over everything, that is $250 per year. And with the $250 per year option with LibChalk, you can pretty much choose any theme under the sun. You can add in any plugin, and you have more flexibility because with a $250 a year version of it, you don't have to worry about 10 different themes playing nicely with 10 different plugins. You only have to worry about one theme playing nicely with a collection of plugins that you chose. And as you get started with different themes, you'll also find out that even some of the core functions of, like, from the traditional Gutenberg editor don't always play nicely with the theme because of the theme's custom settings. So there's just no perfect combination. Like, that just doesn't exist, but this will be like the best of combination. And these are actually going to be set to auto update in the background. So updating a theme or updating a plugin, that is where adding in any new security updates, any new functionality, any new layout changes, anything like that, So if you ever notice anything like a setting that changed, or some like the layout on your website looks slightly different than it used to, it's probably because an auto update happened in the background and the theme itself or the plugin itself changed the setting or changed the theme. And now it just doesn't look quite the same way as it used to. And that's not something that you did, something that I did, or something that anyone did. It's just the developer that had to make a change. So, note to self.
It happens, yeah.
Yeah. And so the other thing that I wanted to go over is more or less about the things that are going to be the same and things that are probably going to look a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that are the same is that if you were on the old Multisite or on a WordPress install before, that login and the dashboard, the WordPress dashboard, are going to look more or less the same. If you have a full libchalk installation, what will be different is that you now have control over the theme and the plugins and any different settings. You have way more access to the different features. So that might be confusing at first, but you will also have more control over changing the entire theme of your site and adding like all the different features. If you are on the multi-site, that dashboard will look similar again, but if you were on your old theme, it's probably going to look drastically different in terms of settings, because this old installation hasn't been updated in approximately a year to a year and a half. And that's just because the system broke on the back end and wouldn't let us update anything.
Yep. And that's
Now,
why we're doing this. Well, one of the many reasons why we're doing this. Yeah.
and the fun part of that is that when the old site gets exported in from the old version of the multi-site into the new version of libchalk, whether it's the multi-site or the full, like a full paid version, a lot of the settings change almost completely,
Mm-hmm.
or a plugin will change almost completely, because a year to a year and a half worth of updates happen overnight.
Mm.
And so some of those layouts change, like WordPress changed drastically over the course of a year. They had like a major update, so their default theme setting is completely different, and some of the like the regular editor updated. So it'll still, if you knew it before, it won't take you too super long to kind of pick up the new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're completely new to it, I recommend going to Diana's course because some stuff changed.
Yes, and I do have that link here. I'll add that into the show info for this episode, since this is something we're talking about. I'll add that link in there as well for everyone. We have it through our Niche Academy, which is a place where we host some of the training that we do, some of our courses. And it's just a free online for Nebraska Libraries.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's more or less the biggest difference is going to be you're going to see a lot of updates in a really short amount of time. And we're used to actually having incremental changes because things might change every 2 months, every 3 months. But this is going night and day from no updates to a year and a half updates. And so it's just going to be a little bit of an adjustment. And some things are going to change barely at all, and some of them will have changed completely. So the other thing is that I also talked to Diana because I was getting questions from libraries about, I just need someone to be able to help me set this up and make it look the way that I want to in the first place, and then I'll take it over from there.
Mm.
So she offered to set up like little mini web development packages so that if libraries actually want that little push of support, they can work with her to get like a like custom package, and she's one of the only people that I could find that would actually offer like the shorter, like the little smaller projects for web development.
Mhm.
Most of the web development like groups or consultants that I talk to, they would only do like the massive projects that cost like thousands of dollars.
Right.
But she would do like the smaller projects that say like, give me like 100, $200 and I'll do these few changes.
I'll get you
Like,
started. I'll get you set up
yeah,
to start with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or give me like a few $1,000 instead of like the $10,000 that other places were looking at. And I'll get you, like, I'll set up your whole site, and then I'll help you get started on being able to take over the setup yourself.
Yeah, many web developer companies or people are there for those big companies, big
Yeah.
library systems or something that need a ton of things done. But our whole purpose of this whole program is we've got those, as you all know, you are the little libraries, the ones that are, you're only serving a population less than 1,000. You're open 20 hours a week. You just need
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And it does not have to be crazy huge, and you don't have a huge budget to pay a developer to do.
Yeah.
But we need, and Diana was great to say, I am here for the little guy.
And she's been working with libraries forever. She's based out of Florida, and she works with the Florida library system over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's been doing it forever. So she knows that libraries, it's something that libraries need. So she just said, all right, we'll do it this way. And so she didn't have like a specific pricing structure that says like, because it's going to vary quite a bit based on what the individual library actually needs. Because if you just ask her to like set up the layout of some like 3 different pages, then that's going to be different than build my whole site. And so it'll range from like maybe $100, $200 to like maybe 1,000, like a few thousand or something like that, if it's going to be like a really extensive update. So kind of the most daunting thing that libraries have run into is that they want to revamp their site, but they just want someone to step in at the start of it to say, help me plan it, help me lay it out, make it look the way that I want it to look, and then let me take over because I don't have the budget to do this all the time. And she also started an option for the libraries that want small short-term maintenance like every few months or something. So if you want her to like schedule out, like take every few months, schedule out some different posts or updates, or change the look of this page, or set up a new summer reading page, then she'll just jump in and do that. So I'll put in her contact information if that is something that you want to explore, because that's something that I just don't have the bandwidth to be able to make 100 different sites. Like, that's just not gonna happen. And so let me grab, oh, and of course I'm not even in, I'm on my email on my phone, but I'm not in my email on the computer right now. I have her Gmail, but I want her Navari Solutions. There's an easier way to do this. She has a website. And she is so her group is called Navari Solutions. So she does like the education, does WordPress support, and does some like the library tech planning, all that different stuff. And what I'm looking for are her,
I think we have that here.
Email.
Of course.
Usually I just go into my email and it's right there. And you can also go to her LinkedIn and get a hold of her there. She has the contact info in the footer here, exactly where it's supposed to be. But what I don't remember is if she's Diana@NavariLibrary.com.
Yeah, and my email is Diana yep. I just looked up.
Diana@, okay.
So Diana@NavariLibrary.com. Yep, that would be directly to her.
Okay. So I don't know if you just want to put that into the chat. I'll add it into a slide too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I will mention, because someone did ask us, they always do, yes, these slides will be available afterwards with the show recording, so you'll be able to go back and reference all of this. Let me see here. Oops.
And so let me add in her. So she's the one who built the free WordPress course.
Right.
I mean, the commission purchased it, but it's available on the Commission's Niche Academy.
Yep. And I just put into the chat for all of you her email address and the direct link to the class, the course, which is also available through our Nebraska Libraries on the website, and will also be on the show, the page for today's show. We do have a question too that has come in, and if I do want to mention it when we're getting close to the top of the hour, but I'm not sure if Amanda has some more things to go over with you all, but also if you have any questions you want to ask, go ahead and type them into the question section, and we'll make sure that any questions, concerns you have will be, yeah, there it is right there, the WordPress site, will be answered.
There is that. And so what was the question that popped in?
Well, two different things, actually. How will they be billed for the LibChalk? Is that going through us at the commission, or is it directly from the library between the library and LibChalk?
So that goes directly between the library and LibChalk.
Okay.
And so he has an online portal where you can do it, or you can also go by check, or he can also do a purchase order. Yep.
Okay, so that would be directly between you and them. We arrange for this to be available to you, but we don't do any of the billing or any of that. You'll if you do decide to go with the multi-site or the more expensive, the $250 do-it-your-own site, you're working directly with LibChalk for that. And then the other question is about being converted. And I'm not sure which, do you mean for the free site or for this? Because the question says, will Amanda contact us when they convert us? Will login information change? Can you clarify if you were asking about, like, would that depend on which choice they make, or?
Yeah, like it depends on, if you can let me know if you've already contacted me, then I might already have you on the list of people that I'm switching over, because I got a bunch of people in a row, so I have a small backlog going right now. But if you have not made the choice yet and have yet to email me, then you can let me know which option you went with, and then I can, if it's a free site, I basically just send it over to Vern, and Vern gets it set up. If it is the LibChalk site, then I export your old files from the old libraries on the web, and then shoot it over to Brian, who starts a new installation. And
yep, so they specified they're talking specific. What's good to know all the answers, but they specifically were interested in the $150 multi-site. Yeah.
Yep. So that one, you would just send me an email, or if you can also let me know who you are right now, and I can add you to my sheet.
She said they did already contact you, and you're on the list. They're on the list.
Yep. So you are probably either Red Cloud or Osceola, so yes, we are in the process of migrating right now, but I just have to set the actual words and the themes and the plugins before giving all the libraries access to it, so that the installation actually looks the way that it will look and should look. instead of saying, I started to set it up, but it's going to get there. So it's easier to just have it all up and ready before getting people on there.
Yeah, it is Red Cloud. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you are on I have you on the list of 2 to 3 libraries that are going to be switching over right now. I have another list of libraries that are still talking to the board and going through the process. So yeah, you are on the list to get flipped over when I've landed down on the specific themes and the specific plugins. Because otherwise, if I do it now, it'll be a quiet chaos.
Yeah. Awesome. Another question from someone else. And I know yes for the free site because Vern has said yes. And I think we just confirmed with you, Amanda, about the LibChalk sites follow those new web content accessibility guidelines that are coming.
So the web content, so the ADA compliance is actually set by, it's actually set at a few different layers. Most of the new themes are designed to be modern and responsive, and for the most part, if it's made by a professional company, the color contrast will be ADA compliant. Some of the themes that are made by people that are just kind of getting started out, they are not always ADA compliant. So most professional themes are designed to be ADA compliant from the start. But what changes is that when libraries add in their own custom content and start changing settings, they sometimes accidentally change the settings that make it not ADA compliant. And you also have to load in page content so that it is ADA compliant. So I'll give the example that if you want to make a page, in the old days, you would just add in a font and make it the size font that you need it to be in different areas. But in ADA compliance, you have to actually label that heading as a heading, and you have to label headings in order. So on this slide here, this WordPress training support would be heading 1, and then down here would be heading 2, and then this would be a paragraph. So this is heading 1, heading 2, heading 2, heading 2, heading 2, paragraph, paragraph, paragraph. Right. This is actually how a screen reader interacts with different content and understands what's going on. So if you have a website from the olden days, this would actually just be a paragraph that is in bold font that's in size 67 in Poppins. And this would be a paragraph in size 24 font in bold. So if this is the old version of it, or if you add in new content that's all in a paragraph that's just formatted to look like a heading, that's what's not ADA compliant. A screen reader doesn't know what to do with it, and any ADA compliance tools don't know what to do with it. And that's what makes even a theme that does its best and invests like a bunch of time and energy into making their theme ADA compliant can still become non-compliant if you don't add in the content in the right way. So some of it is on choosing the right theme, but some of it is in adding the content in the right way. So the other thing that happens is that when you load an image into a website, there's also an alt text field. And 9 times out of 10, most libraries will leave that alt text field blank. And it's because you have to go into a separate setting in WordPress to fill it out. And if you leave in some cases, that won't matter. Because in most screen readers and most ADA compliance will tell you a screen reader does not need to know or care about an image that is purely decorative. So some of it will ignore decorative images, and some of it will put in an alt text so that it will say picture of a room full of people working on laptops in a computer lab.
Appears to be, I've seen that suggested text, yeah.
Yeah. And so in some WordPress and in some website hosts, they now actually have AI that goes through looks at the image and makes a recommended alt text that describes what that is. And this will be like at an organizational level where you'll actually decide whether a screen reader needs to know about a decorative image like this, and or just going to disrupt the experience of a screen reader to say, like, I truly do not care if there's an image of a bunch of people that are on computers right now. That
It's
does
not
not,
adding any useful
yeah,
content. It was something to make this look more interesting to those of us that can see when we're looking at them. So it's not
yeah.
just words, because people like to look at pictures.
And
Yeah.
so like where you would actually add it is something like this flyer, because the content and text on a flyer, a screen reader would not be able to actually read this if it was saved as like a JPEG or an image. So it would just be, you don't want this to actually show up as blank. So when you add a flyer for a service, you would actually add in longer alt text that says event flyer for Nookly, representation and stories for every child made possible by AI. And usually it would say event on October 3rd, 2026 at 1 p.m. in the main branch of the library. So you would actually want to fill out an entire alt text that said that. Otherwise, if you primarily use flyers for advertising, if you don't add that alt text, you won't be ADA compliant, and a screen reader will never be able to, it'll never even recognize that that image or flyer was there. And the image, the event is, no one will know about it.
Yeah. All right. So to start with, yes, the free sites and LibChalk will start out with being compliant. What you do, well, the free site, you can't change any of the design on that. You can do updates of, like, here's our new story time or something. So that's fine. With any of the LibChalk, either option, if you make other changes, that's something you have to be aware of. Another new follow-up question came in, and we're not going to get into that today because we're already getting kind of in the weeds here about it. Is making content ADA compliant part of the LibChalk training?
So Diana did go over some ADA compliance. She has an ADA compliant section.
Okay.
She also, like, if you want, you can also go through Diana and she'll go through a review for ADA compliance. She's gotten some requests from libraries about that before. So,
and we have done sessions here. Andrew Sherm, who's one of our IT support person here at the Library Commission, did do a NCompass Live just in July about library compliance with the ADA Title II Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and the recording and slides for that are in our show archives.
And what I would recommend is actually reading all of the different guides for ADA compliance and watching.
He's got a lot of resources in there to help you go do it as well. And also be aware, we've got an extra year to become compliant too. They did extend the deadline for everybody. So.
I mean, it does help to do it now because.
Oh, but just do, yeah. So
you know,
you have a little more time, but the earlier you start thinking about it and looking at things, the more time you have to fix anything that you might need to or be able to. But Sherman's session, I think, was really good, with lots of good resources and things to use to help you make sure you're doing the right thing.
And if you are short on time, short on staff, or short on confidence and actually knowing that you're doing it the right way, you can also reach out to Sherm or me, and we can help to an extent.
Yeah.
And then you can also go through Diana and she'll just do it for you. And I'm sure that she's not the only one. There's probably like 8 jillion people that are going like, sure, we'll do it for you. But
Amanda will help you out at no cost, no additional cost with any advice or tips or about things. Yeah.
But I cannot promise to build out your whole site.
No.
So yeah. But I can guide you through the steps and process of how it works and how ADA works and what to look for and what to set up. But I can't do it for you, and I can't maintain it every step of the way.
No.
And neither can Sherm, even if you want
to. All right. What else do we have? We've gone through.
So after this, I'm just going to add in the updated contact information, and then I'll share the link to these right now because the link's not going to change.
Right.
And let me grab this copy, and I'll put it into the chat, which I think probably only goes to you on this one.
Yeah, that's fine. I will grab it and share it, and it will be in the, yeah. Got that. Back up, back up. Copy. There. I did put that link into the questions for everyone if you all want to grab it now, but like I said, it will also be linked off of the recording archive page to it later.
And I am putting in Diana's information. If I stumble across anyone else who is doing like the smaller projects, I'll share that out on later emails, whatever it may be. But I'm also fixing the mail to on this because it put in the info, and you don't want to do that. Is she a .com or a .org? Com.
Yeah, com.
All right. And then I'll also put in my contact information because I can do some of it, but not all of it. I've also got other projects too, so I'm trying not to overcommit on saying that I can do all the everything. And I'll say,
oh yeah, I should have, I forgot. Yeah, Sherm is actually is watching right now. I remember I saw, sorry, Sherm. Hi. And he did just share a link that, which is the actual link to the standards. If you do want to read through all of those.
Or watch his webinar that he did before.
I highly recommend, yes, watching his session too.
And then I'll also put in,
and I'm sure he appreciates us offering him up for support.
right. And I'll also put in the link to LibChalk's main website. I would say to go through either me or Brian to get set up so that you get the right pricing tier and people know that you're actually part of the libraries on the web so that we grab your files and get everything flipped over. But if you also do want to embed like a training or education sequence, they also do have a option where you can add in a training portal and add in like education series on your own site too. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Cool.
And let me done. Who should have fixed this slide before, but just thought about it right now. Right here. All right, and then I'll also add in my usual question page, and then we should be good to go. So I'll take any other quick questions now, otherwise you can email me later.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions they want to ask of Amanda about anything going on with the changes to the libraries on the web project? We got comments saying thank you, lots of useful information. We'll be in touch. We are, as Amanda said, we had a lot of libraries that were on our old version of the Nebraska Libraries on the Web site, and we are desperately working to reach out and contact all of them and make sure we know, get you all switched either to one of our new options, or just to let us know we've decided to go our own way. We have had many of the libraries who were on our Nebraska Libraries on the Web who have said, oh, we have something now through the city or through, we've decided to just handle it ourselves, not using any of yours. And that's great. Yes. We just want to know so we can check you off our list that, yes, so-and-so's got a website. And I am going to, because I wanted to show this here. I'm going to pull presenter control back to my page while you're doing all this, if that's okay, Amanda.
And I also put in a link to my zCal calendar if you want to book like a hour slot.
Perfect. Nice. All right. So this is the Nebraska Libraries on the Web main web page. If you go to our Library Commission website and search for Nebraska Libraries on the Web, it will come up. And as you can see here, September 30th is when the old site, and I don't know if you mentioned that this time, that is when the old support for the old site will end, meaning will be shut down. Those web pages will no longer exist, correct? Or
so they will exist in an archived form.
Okay.
So the installation is going down, and it needs to because of it, the cybersecurity is not. It is atrocious right now, and no one needs to see that.
Nobody
but
wants. Yeah.
So it will be. Vern will have it in an archived form, and if you go to the Wayback Machine, most of the sites have actually been crawled and archived in the Wayback Machine. So
and also, if you don't reach out to us before September 30th, your website won't. You're not out of luck, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You're not completely out of luck. You might be about 50 to 75% out of luck, but it's not impossible.
If you want your previous content moved over, you need to get in touch with us before the end of September. This is something we announced at least a year ago, so this is not something new or sudden that we're doing. So, and we have been reaching out, Amanda or Vern has been reaching out and trying to contact all of the libraries that we're currently on the previous version. We had many of the library websites we know were really dead, hadn't been updated in years and years. Staff changes didn't pass on the fact that there was a website that they had. They maybe didn't start up their own or just say, yeah, we just use Facebook, whatever. We've had some people say they didn't even know they were on this list and had anything we were doing for them. And that happens, but we just want to make sure we got everybody figured out. But you do have to get in touch with us by September 30th if you are current, and we'll keep trying to reach out to you and get an answer.
And if you didn't have anything at all before, you can choose one of these options now.
At any time. Yep, it's available now. It's available for the future. Yeah, this is the way we're going to be providing websites to libraries. Free basic site, LibChalk hosting that you do most of the work yourself at the $250, and now the new multi-site for $150 a year. And there's a link to the training, et cetera, et cetera. All right, I don't see any other questions that came in while we were chatting through this, and that's fine. I think we'll wrap things up then. So
sounds good.
Thank you, Amanda, for all this info. This is very important. Big changes happening. I talked about this is our show archives where today's recording will be, and here is the link to the one that because we were just talking about that Sherm did back in July on the new rules, ADA compliance. There's recording and slides there. Go ahead and watch that, and reach out to Sherm if you do want to know more about what he's doing there. As I said, today's show is being recorded, and I am off tomorrow, so I'm going to have this recording done and ready for you all by the end of the day today. That's my goal. Everyone who attended today's show and registered will get an email from me letting you know when the archive is ready up on here. So sometime later this afternoon, you'll all be notified. It'll be just up here at the top of the page. If you want to know if we have done a show on a previous, on a particular topic of interest to you, you can search our show archives. This is our full archives going back to 2009 when NCompass Live first premiered. That means we are 18. We are adult now. So, and if you want, and I actually was like, let's see, I said I had to look and see when we first did this, and I remember the title of the show, Introducing Nebraska Libraries on the Web, back on May 4th, 2011. If you want to know how this all started, if you really, you can watch that show. You can watch other things. But just for any of our shows, just pay attention to that original broadcast date, and especially this is a good example of that. Things may have changed since we first had that show.
Okay.
And obviously it has changed in 15 years. It is changing right now. So just be aware of that. But this is something libraries do, keep things for historical purposes. And as long as we have somewhere to host our recordings, which right now is the Library Commission's YouTube channel, we will always have them out there available for you.
Yeah, YouTube is not allowed to go anywhere.
No, oh my gosh. We do. I do have copies of everything on our own local servers, just in case something does blow up or disappear. We do have backups. We also have a Facebook page. Yes, go back. There we go. We have for social media, for NCompass Live, we have a Facebook page. If you'd like to use Facebook, give us a like there. Here's a reminder to log into today's show, when new shows are coming, and when recordings are available. I post on here. We also use the Library Commission social media, Instagram page. We have our own mailing list and blog. So look for updates about when the shows are coming there as well. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you everyone for sticking around with us. Went a little long today, but got lots of good questions and want to make sure we got through everything. This is our upcoming schedule, and I do have more shows I will be filling in here. I've got, so just keep an eye on here for other dates in September and October that I'm going to be, well, I've got October all up there. And I've even got into November on my calendar, so keep an eye on that. But next week, we're going on a field trip. Maybe, well, we're talking about going on a field trip. Staff development through library visits. So Cindy Shue, who's from the J. Robert Jamerson Memorial Library in Virginia, is going to be talking to us about a program that she has for staff development of going out and visiting other libraries, taking staff on a field trip. So please do sign up for that and join us for that show and any of the other ones we have coming up. Amanda, as I said, is usually here the last Wednesday of the month. September, she will be here. Topic to be determined. October, as you can see, no. The last week in October is the Internet Librarian Conference, and Amanda is involved in that, so we do not have, we will not have Pretty Sweet Tech in October. I already have a show on for that date about homeschoolers. I know a lot of libraries have homeschoolers that come in. All right, so that wraps it up. Thank you everybody for being here with us today. Thank you, Amanda. We'll see you next month.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. And hopefully we'll see you all on a future episode of NCompass Live. Bye-bye.